I am not opposed.
Okay, so we're halfway through a conversation right now about like overhauling the Complice homepage a bit and like trying to, be more clear upfront with the value proposition and all this in the context of like how does non-coercive marketing work, like marketing where you're not trying to make people feel bad, you're trying to make them, invite them into feeling good.
Mm.
Um, and that reminds me actually. So in addition to adding maybe these two paragraphs from the manifesto page onto the homepage, I think there's a third paragraph that wants to exist that I think you gestured at, which is something like, here's how it'll feel when you
Mm.
get it working. But the other
Yeah.
thing I was noticing is that another piece that I kind of want to point at is something like, you can learn something really valuable from trying out Complice even if you don't keep using it.
Yeah, dude, I feel like I told you that in our last conversation.
Yeah.
It's like I can't seem to make Complice itself stick, but like the habits I learn every time I've used it have just like translated directly into how I use Obsidian to sort of like
Yeah.
plan my life and figure shit out every day. Um, yeah, part of me, and I think before when I was mentioning like how it'll make you feel, I almost wonder if that's in the second paragraph there is like traditional productivity and all of these traditional systems, they lead to rigidity and overthinking and the illusion of control to the point where you feel weighed down, you feel inadequate, you feel like a less capable human with less agency in the world than you did prior to using said system. And then whether it's purpose driven productivity or some other, I don't know, some other term that you spin up, and maybe, and I don't know, maybe purpose, like whatever that phrase is, maybe it should capture the feeling that you're after, is like what, because yeah, non-coercive is a little bit too maybe illegible,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like I think it's tied to flow. I think it's tied to
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of,
Fun.
yeah, fun, play,
Excitement.
the like momentum that comes from doing a little bit every day, and seeing those little wins stack up over time. Like there's got to be some sort of word that just captures that magic, and then you can like slap it on productivity and be like, yo, this is what we're about. Complice is the magical productivity app, or magical is the complete wrong word, but just so that people can like create that binary in their mind of like, traditional productivity makes me feel like crap,
Yeah.
Complice productivity makes me feel good and smooth and lovely in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some people for whom the traditional productivity thing is working and like great. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to try to make those people feel bad about their thing that's working.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. And I feel like there's just sort of a, maybe just a natural filter on apps like this. Like a lot of people, I think, come to them when they're feeling a sense of lack, or a sense
Yep.
of chaos, a sense of yeah, I think chaos is generally the word, is just like the need to impose order.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that probably comes from dissatisfaction with traditional systems. Like if the traditional systems were actually working, they wouldn't be feeling that way.
Yeah, and
Um,
they wouldn't be there. Like there's an
yeah.
email that Complice sends out that probably should also be an article. Um, what is that? Oh yeah. There's an email that goes out when you first sign up. After you signed up after you signed up like a day or two ago, and it basically says you just signed up for Complice a couple days ago. So I'm going to guess that you're not satisfied with the state of your productivity systems. Whether you're using other tools or not, everyone has some sort of system for doing things and making progress. And here you are trying a new one, which I bet you've done before, whether it was a massive undertaking involving a bunch of new processes and a fancy acronym, or just a pledge to journal every night about how your day went. How did it go? If you're like most people, it worked for a bit and then didn't work so much. And then like, why does this happen? And I sort of explore, well, there's a novelty effect, there's like staleness. Um, oh, and there's this thing's getting forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so it actually, is it, so I probably got this email at some point.
Yep.
It's more of a piece of content. It's more of an explainer about this phenomenon that people have experienced time and time again, which is try a new thing, initially be thrilled by the rush of it and be like, oh, I'm so productive now.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's their resistance catches up to them.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it strikes me. I don't know. I like the idea of there being a, like, especially if there's some branded term around, even saying branded term feels kind of weird to me. I don't know. I think just like the term branding, I have such a dirty relationship.
It's a bad metaphor. It's a kind of it's a slightly violent metaphor, technically, right? Like,
not even slightly, just straight up is.
Yeah.
But yeah, having some sort of proprietary term or some sort of term that you own. Dude, all of these have sort of weird connotations. All of these words I'm trying to use to describe this.
What's the etymology of proprietor?
Oh, proprietor.
Right?
Yeah, I guess it just like reminds me of like copyright laws and the trademark system being a raging dumpster fire. I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but
Proprietor. One, yeah. I mean, proprietor just sort of means owner. Like, it's got some colonial context a little bit too.
Yeah.
Along the way, but it goes back.
So the thing I was saying though is like whatever this term is, whether it's purpose-driven productivity or whatever else, it makes sense to have that sort of content hub that we were talking about before we started recording. Is just a place for, because it is an entirely new philosophy of, and I don't even know how new it is. Like it, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, that feels like a real act of service to me, I guess.
You just prompted me to notice something really neat, which is I had this idea for quite a while of making a bunch of pages that are like Complice for students, Complice for freelancers, Complice for parents, Complice for people with ADHD, Complice for teams and relationships, or whatever. Just kind of different lenses on the types of people who might use Complice and like how that might work for them. But it occurs to me that like those pages, I mean, I had sort of thought of this before, but there's something about like tying each of those pages into not just the features, not just like what kinds of goals might these people set, but like what does what I'm calling purpose-driven productivity look like for a freelancer, right? It's like describing that is like a different level of abstraction than just describing what using Complice looks like for a freelancer.
Yeah. And what does it feel like to wake up in the morning as a freelancer? And because like I don't know, like I feel like there's freelancer specific language. Is like, I don't know, what's it feel like to chip away on your marketing and admin work every day, knowing that you always have a new stream of clients and leads in the pipeline, so that your business doesn't turn into like a feast or famine thing. Like how does purpose-driven productivity and the things that make Complice special, which is like doing a little bit of the right things every single day, how does that play out in the context, like in all of these different contexts, using the language that these people would use, right? Because that's the thing, like it can stay at one level of abstraction where you try to make it super, I don't know, you try to make it applicable to as many of these subsets as possible. But I like what you're describing, which is, and I don't know exactly how you would do it, whether you have case studies, you have customers who fit these specific segments.
That's kind of what I'm imagining. Yeah.
Hey, that might be it. Is like maybe you do like a 30-minute interview with them. It's just like your power users in these segments, and then you can like take the transcript from that and like pull out quotes from them and whatever else. It sounds kind of like a lot of work, but probably just deeply worth it from one, learning more about your market. I don't know. I'm just like, nothing bad ever comes from talking to your customers and really getting into the the weeds of like how they feel and why they feel what they feel and like all of that. Cause like it's just marketing gold.
Yeah.
And then you can obviously take anything they say and sort of spin it into insights, into copy, into new features, into whatever else. Yeah, it could be a really worthwhile long-term project.
Yeah. Also just sort of thinking like, oh yeah, what are all the other kind of clusters I could imagine sort of writing things up for? The ones I named are sort of the main ones that I've kind of tagged already, but I think it's worth separating like entrepreneurs from freelancers, for instance.
I would agree with that.
Could even have separately like Complice for solopreneurs.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like I feel like I don't know what I do, what like Michael Ashcroft or whoever does is just like so different from somebody who's running like a 10-person team or
Yeah.
even I don't know, even a two to 3-person team.
Yeah. Like Complice for makers.
Complice for cats. 1010 would sign up for my cat.
My brain tried to come up with what that could possibly mean, and I'm like, jazz musicians who sometimes refer to themselves and each
Yeah.
other as cats.
Yeah, their goal is just like swing really hard today. Nailed it. Get a dope fedora. Like, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Complice for artists, you know, more seriously, like,
yeah, dude, absolutely. I guess like the thing that I'm thinking about is like what is the minimum viable version of a Complice for fill in the blank page, like Complice for artists, Complice for entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, like. And I think a lot of this comes down to understanding I don't know. I like it's clearly having some kind of discussion with somebody in each of these segments to understand like what it is specifically about Complice that attaches to their this context that they're in. Basically, is like how does Complice? I don't know exactly, but like I guess what I'm getting at is just like what's the just like the core value proposition for creators, for solopreneurs, for artists, for stay-at-home moms, like whatever the context is, that like how can you pare that down into like a paragraph or something like that? Because I think the thing that's coming to mind for me is like I imagine like these big long like SEO'd pages or like I don't know, like comparison pages that a lot of SaaS apps have, that are hundreds, if not thousands, of words of content. And
yeah, and I think I do want thousands of words of content, but they want to be more on the sort of they want to be more on the level of the philosophy and stuff, not like comparing things like that.
yeah. Here's a question. What is I don't know, what does the market look like for goal setting SaaS products? Like what's your sense of what else is out there, how other people are positioned?
It's a good question. I've never seen something else that quite so clearly combines the goal setting and the like fresh daily workflow. There's like
Mm.
other goal setting apps, but they're much more about planning and less about like, what are you doing today? No, seriously, today. What are you doing today? You have these goals. What about today? That like, there's none that kind of do that. And then there's apps that like very much do the like, what are you doing today thing. Like Microsoft released a what is it even called? Microsoft To List. I forget what it was called. Maybe it's just called Microsoft To Do. Yeah. um, and it actually has this daily fresh energy, but it's just random shit. It's just lists of random shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't have the goal thing. So it's like, oh, sure, you got a fresh list, but like, who gives a shit? Like, where are you going, right? Um, so Complice is really the only thing I've seen that like combines those in that kind of way. Beeminder combines those in a quantitative way, right?
Yeah.
And Complice and Beeminder have been great friends the whole time. Like Danny was a mentor of mine before Complice even had a name or anything like that. And we've since, now that I mean, they're still in some sense ahead of Complice in terms of revenue and stuff, but we've now both been in business nearly a decade or like whatever. So we're now just kind of advising each other. Like
Yeah.
there's not the same kind of like me looking up to him in particular. We have our own skills and blind
That's
spots.
super cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so do they play well together? Like,
Yeah,
can I
there's
set up a
there's
beat?
Complice and Beeminder actually have one of the deepest integrations. Well, it's actually also one of the only Beeminder has a lot of integrations with other apps, but the Complice integration is one of the only integrations of theirs that they didn't build. Like I built it. Like, I mean, they have an API and lots of other people have built things on top of their API, but most of the things on top of the API are like tools for working with Beeminder. They're not like entirely their own thing, or they're just like one little chunk of an app. It's like, oh, you want to Beemind this metric in your app? Great, go for it. Whereas the Complice Beeminder integration is extremely precise. It's like, if you want to Beemind the number of minutes you spend meditating as logged by Complice, great, you can do that, like in two different ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that integration has been great, and that's been one of a few kind of, insofar as there are some main sources of like how people have come to Complice, Beeminder has been one of those.
Yeah, super cool, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I guess that's another interesting question on just like the generalized marketing front is outside of Beeminder and probably other little partnerships like that. Do you have a good sense of how your ideal customers at least find you, like the people who actually kind of have that aha moment and
Yeah.
really click with the
Yeah.
tool?
I mean, definitely anybody who like finds a link to the philosophy somewhere and like reads it and is like, yeah, like that's a pretty good state for somebody to be in coming in. When
Yeah.
people go to the goal crafting intensives and they've like just set a bunch of new clear goals and then they show up to like use Complice, like that's not a perfect fit because like some of the goal setting stuff that we walk people through actually doesn't fit super cleanly into the Complice UI for the goals, in terms of like planning and stuff. But those people at least like they have really clear goals that they feel really excited about and they can just plug them right into Complice and have a great start. One of the things I was thinking about recently was the idea of actually making a YouTube video that's basically me walking somebody through getting set up on Complice. And I don't know exactly how I'd do it, but I would maybe have like basically like at a given point. So it's like, oop, hang on. My camera I think has just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're a bit frozen.
wait. You're frozen as well. That's weird. I just jostled the like camera plug, but that shouldn't have caused you to be frozen.
Zoom is a fickle beast, man. Although I don't know if
It
it's
should be
Zoom.
like that. All right, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Should be good to go in a moment. Do 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 do. Um.
Oh snap!
That's my
There we
other
go.
camera. There we go. And now I can turn back to this one. Great. Hello, I'm over here. You following me yet? Hello. So yeah, so good. So right. So my thought was make a YouTube video that walks people through the entire process of getting set up with Complice, and like kind of all the way to like working on their first intention, right? And actually have that YouTube video kind of go quite slowly in a sense, and have it like so where it's like take a minute and write about your goals. It's like the video just runs for a minute with me not saying much in particular, and then it says if you're feeling stuck, here's a couple prompts that might help or something, and or whatever, and then it says, okay, at this point the video is going to move on, but if you want to take more time to write, just hit pause on the video and then hit play when you're done. And just like really just like here is the whole process in one guided zoop. And I've had once or twice videos inside the app trying to explain stuff, and I may do that again, but I think there's something actually really cool about having the video actually be a container that's outside the app where you can go through the whole app process with this video kind of walking you through it.
Well, it sounds like a workshop, right? It's a workshop recording.
It's kind of like a little workshop, on goal setting, right? Like it's
yeah. When I mean, and that's probably how I would frame it, right? Because you could be like Complice demo, and somebody might look at it and they'd be like 45 minutes. The fuck, I'm not doing that. But you could be like,
right. But if it's like how to set goals,
it's like Malcolm's,
that's a
like
good point.
It's like purposeful productivity workshop or whatever, however you have it framed. They'll be like, oh, 45 minutes of pure value, sign me up.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like it all just keeps converging on having some sort of like unique term that you just sort of own that encompasses the entire philosophy of Complice.
Purpose-driven productivity is pretty good. Part of me is kind of sick of the word productivity altogether. Like I'm just sort of like, I've been taking to calling Complice like an intentionality app.
And that might be it. It could be like that could be the big shift. It's not traditional productivity systems versus the Complice productivity system. It's productivity versus intentionality is like the binary that you draw.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. Like, don't be productive, be intentional.
Yeah.
That's kind of a profound tagline. Just like it just like in terms of it stopping you in your tracks.
Yeah.
Because like everybody comes in with I
gotta be more productive.
Yeah. And then you just like slap that like right off their face, like in a non-coercive way. Very friendly.
Like a pillow.
It's actually that's actually really, really intriguing. It's just like right out of the gate, be like, yo, this is not a productivity app. This is, and it comes back to what we were saying before, which is creating a pattern interrupt, is creating space in somebody's brain for them to be like, yo, this is unlike anything else that has come before. Yeah. It's an intriguing avenue to take there potentially.
Yeah. Well, this is feeling like a clarifying conversation. There's still work to do. There always is, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna actually like put this on the homepage, right? Yeah.
Just from like a super tactical standpoint, by the way, like that's the set, like, I don't know, the little manifesto section, those 2 paragraphs or whatever. I would probably use that opportunity on the homepage to put like a big ass link to the philosophy page. Just be like, this is a taster. Here's where we go deep. Because I suspect that the, like, I don't know, ideal customers of Complice or whatever you want to call them are the type of people who are going to delight at the fact that it's so like philosophically grounded. And it's not just some thing that some productivity nerds slap together to make some bucks, but like,
I mean, in some ways it kind of was, but I always rethink everything from scratch, and so I couldn't help but come up with an entirely new way to think about it. But it's like, I actually, I articulated that philosophy trying to understand what Complice was and why it was different and why it worked. Like, once it already existed, it's like I didn't design it to meet that philosophy. It's like the philosophy was an emergent articulation of what was already in place and working and flowing. But that was so only a year and a half into having made the app. Like it only had the bare backbone of the sort of feature set that it has now. But that bare backbone is still just very different than a organize your to-dos app.
It's so wild how it just feels really parallel to what I'm building in my little ungated corner of the universe. Is like, I set out to build what I thought would, I don't know, I thought it would be just sort of like a creator marketing website. They sort of went deep on a lot of the stuff that creators generally aren't taught about. And somewhere, like, for some reason, it ruffled my intuition and felt a bit out of lockstep with what I wanted to do and how I wanted to show up. And over the course of a year, it just sort of like sprouted into a new philosophy around business, around marketing, around creative work, around how to show up as a friendly person on the internet with a lot of like, without a lot of the I don't know, I was going to say douchiness, but like a lot of the stuff that just leaves a really terrible taste in people's mouths in regards to online marketing as a like online marketing trademark. But yeah, like, had I set out from the beginning to build a new philosophy, like,
right, it's like, where would you even start? There's a way in which like the philosophies necessarily emerge with some kind of dialogue with something. And so there's no like you can't do them from scratch. They're either they're a response or a critique of some existing philosophy, or they're a they're a articulation of an instantiation like Complices, but they're never simply like, even if you went and like meditated in the cave for 5 years and came out, here's my philosophy. It's like, you're still trying to make sense of all the shit you read before you went in that cave, like, and all the experiences that you had in your actual reality, and then all the experiences you had in the cave, right? Like, there's no, you can't find some way outside the universe to kind of generate something like that.
I don't know. I think it just like shocks me as somebody who, and I think this ties into the productivity thing as well, right? Is like, a lot of us are, I don't know, just like we approach a lot of this with top down expectations that we're going to have control, we're going to have all of the right answers, that if we just put all the pieces together properly, that everything will work out. And like, I don't know, it comes back to what you and I were talking about at the beginning, which is, I don't know, letting go of control, letting go of the need to have all of the answers right now, and just trusting that something will emerge if you engage with your work, with the philosophy, with the ideas you're rumbling about, just from a really earnest perspective. And I don't know if but it's just top down versus bottom up. Like, that one model just has completely changed how I approach pretty much everything. Like, it's kind of insane, but
yeah. Sorry, I spaced out a little bit there. I was like poking around with the page already. I tend to just be like, if I'm going to do a thing, well, let's go do it.
And that might be like the healthiest productivity habit of all,
Yo, it seriously is. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just like, and that's part of why I think planning is a little bit broken as a concept. It's like, if you plan to do something, okay, it's one thing to be in planning mode and come up with a bunch of stuff and then like do it later. That sometimes makes sense, right? Like you want to get big picture and plan stuff, and you got to sort out, okay, am I going to prioritize this or that? And like, I don't have time to do both of these sports this season, but I could do that. You know, like you got to kind of make some decisions, right? When you're making sort of big decisions, it's like, sure, there's planning to do there. But when it comes to like, okay, here's a thing I might do. It's like, well, do I want to do it right now? And if no, what makes me think I will want to do it later? Right? Like,
Yeah.
and like in some cases, that's just like, whoa, a new album from my favorite artist came out. I definitely want to listen to it, but right now I'm in class, right? It's like, well, okay, yeah, obviously you want to do that. Like, obviously you want to do that. You are very motivated to do it. And now is just clearly not the time, but there clearly will be a time because you do listen to music. So sure, that's fine. But if it's like, okay, like I want to change the homepage, it's like, well, okay, if not now, when? Like, do I have another time at which I am going to naturally incline to change the homepage? And there's a way in which we often like come up with new things to do, and then we put them into the future. And that's mostly just a way of not dealing with whatever resistance we have to doing them now, or something. Whereas if we tried to just like even inch into doing the thing, get started with it right now, even let alone finish it, right? Like, I just went and removed the like, working from home link that's on the homepage because I don't think it's really been like, helping people that much. People are pretty used to working from home at this point, whatever, right? Like, I put that up months and months and months ago, and when working from home was more novel to people. I think it's still a useful tip. I'm keeping the code around for later, but like I just went and removed that, and I like pasted in the other, like those paragraphs. And it's like, well, do they need some editing? Yeah, sure. But like now by default, if I just like push some new code, like those paragraphs are going to be there.
Yeah.
And so
Which
it's like
has it been
now if
updated?
I think that that's suboptimal, I can fix it, but it's already like the new thing. It's like,
Yeah.
and now I can deal with the part where it's not optimal by like improving how it is in place. But I don't have to like have a future to-do list. I just have the like actual situation of like, I kind of put a thing on the homepage that like isn't totally thought through yet, doesn't yet have a link to that philosophy page, etc. I do want to think about what the diagrams should look like.
Which diagrams are you talking about?
The sort of like, sort of illustration of like the overwhelm, the before after thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to think about that a little bit, but yeah, I've been working with one illustrator, Sylvia, but I think her art style doesn't match Complice's kind of like flat geometric aesthetic. So I think I want a different illustrator for this, but I don't yet know who or what exactly. So yeah. And there's also a process of figuring out sort of abstractly speaking, what do I want those illustrations to look like? If I were to just describe each of them in two sentences, like what's that description? I don't yet know that either. And I mean, it's like in some ways I'm kind of contrasting that with, I'm kind of doing that contrast with these like problem Complice solves thing. But yeah, but there's something about painting a bigger picture. Like it's not just here's 3 features. Like this is a workflow. And like the diagram at the top tries to articulate that, clarify your goals, take meaningful action, see your progress. But like it doesn't really capture the workflow. There's a whole rhythm to using Complice every day that like this doesn't capture.
Okay, here's here's maybe an interesting idea. Cause like for me, the word workflow feels very cold, very mechanical. It feels very traditional productivity world.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you use the word workflow on the homepage, but what I don't know, when I think about like the Complice philosophy and the fact that it is so deep and that it is rooted in an idea of like human flourishing and doing intentional activities that are meaningful and all these things. What if it's not like the Complice workflow, but a way of life? Like there's actually
Ooh, I like that.
something deeper there where it's a ritual. It's a like hell, maybe it's sacred for some people. Maybe that's too far, but like it's
I think
I don't
way
know,
of life kind of will feel sacred for people who want it to feel sacred without kind of pushing that word on anybody who doesn't. I think that's a really good really good phrase. It's also it's super neat to be like, okay, we're recording this conversation and we're going to put it on YouTube. There's going to be like people seeing the behind the scenes thinking of like all of this. And I want that. Like I want to expose all of my thinking to people. I'm kind of done with I don't know, trying to do stuff all in my head. I'm just like, nope, garage door up, like whenever possible.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah, and this feels probably part of the case studying thing we were talking about earlier too, right? It's like, you know, making whatever it is we're doing in terms of, you know, the marketing and everything else into like a case study.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna riff here for a second because I just had like a little connection in my brain. I feel like this framing of the Complice philosophy, the way of life, it's almost fundamentally non-coercive by its nature. It's more of an invitation. Oh, my cat's here to say hello. Yeah, it's an invitation into something different if you vibe with this specific set of values. It's not because like we talked about like this sort of framing on what non-coercion in marketing means before, where coercive marketing is about making you feel like shit. It's making you feel inadequate. It's making it like it's really pressing
or at
your
least
pain points,
tapping into those insecurities. It's saying,
yeah,
you got insecurities, like we could,
it's yeah. And if you buy our miracle magic boner pills or whatever, you'll have everything you want.
Yeah.
But just like, yeah, fundamentally just this framing of like, here's the philosophy, here are the values on which it's built, here's the vision of what we believe life can be when we embrace this as a way of life. And it's just like extending out a hand. It's like, want to give it a try, bud? Like it's that just feels like the essence of non-coercive marketing. It's just like letting it all hang out there, letting people sort of explore a world and a worldview, and be there when they're ready to you know, pull them deeper down the rabbit hole, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kisses, buddy. Oh, hello, man. Yeah. I feel like that might have been a really big insight in terms of like how non-coercive marketing operates.
Yeah, there's even like, you know, like when I just look at the Complice homepage, so like, well, there's a whole bunch of pieces here, but in particular, what I was looking at was kind of the second section right below the fold, where it says people all over the world use Complice to blank, and then it kind of has one of those tickers there, right? You know, get a job, you know, create passive income, get better grades, all these other things. And then underneath that, it says, what will you achieve this year? We can help. And I'm reflecting that even in that is like the assumption that people are already doing stuff. They're already going to achieve stuff this year, and we can help. Like, it's not saying like, but you're probably not going to achieve any of these things because you're not doing the thing that's good that does the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild how a lot of that is just sort of like baked in, and it was probably an intuition at some point. Like you hadn't, like there's no logical reason, but like, yeah.
I mean, like I wouldn't say no logical reason, but I didn't necessarily like think, I didn't necessarily sort of consider, I obviously didn't consider phrasing it the like terrible way that I just suggested. But I mean, it's possible that that line has even undergone some, some iterations. Like, if I just like go look at it, it's like, okay, where in the Git history is this one? Uh, you know,
Okay.
what? So yeah, so no, so that I think that actually basically goes back to around the time I made the new version of the homepage. Having trouble finding this, but anyway, I don't know, whatever.
Word. So how are you feeling over there?
Pretty good.
All things. Yeah.
Yeah, still sort of feeling like I don't quite know or understand like when I'm going to get around to just like doing all of this stuff. Like I'm still sort of feeling into
Yeah.
what that looks like. And again, this is part of my own relationship with my own motivation, and I've had all sorts of blocks towards
Yeah.
doing marketing stuff. Although I think broadly speaking, I do feel better about marketing stuff that's just like literally just put more content on the site, right? Like it's
Yeah.
that's not something that feels like, I know that the content I write is good. I like people to read what I've written. The stuff I'm writing there isn't even mostly going to be directly intended towards selling. It's more just like, here's how to use Complice, or here's how to like have purpose driven
Yeah.
productivity in these different situations or whatever. Like, and so I broadly feel like pretty clear that the world is just a better place if there's more pages like that, and they'll help existing users too, right? Like, new user messages me, how do you use Complice as a student? I don't understand how to, like, whatever. It's like, well, here's,
Yeah. Well,
here's
yeah, and I tend to think that, and like, because like obviously the goal here is to help Complice grow, gain new customers, not just customers, but like happy customers who want to stick around and actually use the tool and yada yada yada. And my general sense here is that making Complice a more, even saying content heavy, like just the word content makes me cringe and die a little
I
bit.
mean,
But
content is sort of. I read somewhere that it's backwards. Like, as a creator, you shouldn't be thinking of content. Content is the word that advertisers use to refer to the thing that isn't ads,
yeah,
right? So it's like, this is like the
yeah,
wrong idea, right? Like, this is
well, yeah,
not. But
but
more surface area is like one way to put it.
yeah, more
More,
surface area, philosophical musings that fundamentally poke at the status, like the broken status quo of the
mhm.
productivity ecosystem.
Yeah,
More potential aha moments or oh shit moments, for because that's ultimately what a lot of this stuff does, right? Is you help them see an old problem in a new way, and then you have a tool that helps them put that into practice into their daily lives. But it
mhm.
really does have to start from that oh shit moment of how I've been approaching productivity for such and such has been misguided.
Yeah.
And now, so, oh shit, what was I getting at? But yeah, it's increasing the surface area and putting things out there that are likely to spark insight and lead people to thinking about productivity in new ways. And you don't know what the emergent effects of that are, but basically the only thing that can come from it is good in my, I don't know, unless you
Right. Yeah. It's like,
like,
I like my philosophy. The more people who read it, the better. Like, it's like, yeah.
my God, this animal is just
I
so
I felt
needy of
like you were kind
attention.
of playing the cat like a guitar. You're like,
Yeah. He's he's like really interested in your face right now. Oh my God.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.
That's great.
This might be a sign that I just need to like log off and go pay attention to him.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he won't leave us alone now. Ridiculous animal. I'm
Yeah.
glad that moment got recorded though. So people just know how
Know how awesome your cat is.
how much he likes to just attack my iMac and just like
Sudden cat face, like right up close. That was a great moment. It was like, oh, is he coming for the? Oh, he's here. All right.
It's good shit, man.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I mean, I will play around with stuff. And yeah, I think we have a call next week or the week after. I'll throw this YouTube video up. And we'll see what we want to do with that. I don't know. You intend to do anything in particular with it, but I'm just trying to like again increase my surface area by just putting more stuff up.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube and you have ideas or suggestions or thoughts, feel free to say something about that down here, or by pinging me on Twitter. Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's also talk at some point about the like the Complice case study on the ungated side. And this can definitely be on there. Like,
well, exactly. This is all part of it. Yeah. Because it's like, again, it's like, you want to distill things for people who want just a distilled version. But if somebody decides they're like, whoa, the Complice case study, this is so neat. I just want to like stare at this for hours. It's like, okay, here's hours of video footage. Like, here's all our calls, right? Like, I think we can just do that. So,
oh yeah. And there's going to be like 1 out of 1,000 people who encounters it who's just going to be like, this is the best. And we'll watch all 10 hours of calls.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't need to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome. One future person who's been nerding out about this.
Yeah. If you'd like, you could let us know who you are, but if not, that's also okay. You just do your thing. Yeah. All right. Take care,
sweet
man.
homie. All right. Better Malcolm.